Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jillian Cassell-Sviga, Director at the Make It Real Foundation, which has brought you this masterclass on e-commerce in partnership with Davis College. Make It Real enables professionals and industry experts to give back their time and expertise to empower women around the world and to create a pathway to opportunity and career fulfillment. Our speakers today, Eddie Levine and Jing, have tremendous experience. Jing has been an e-commerce entrepreneur since 2009. She is the president of GoChara Corp, an extremely successful e-commerce private label brand owner. Jing's very first brand eclipsed over 1 million in sales within its first 10 months, using the products from one of her first sourcing trips to China. Currently, she has several hundred unique private label products and thousands of customers both on and off Amazon. Eddie Levine is the president and co-founder of HubDub Limited, an e-commerce sales industry leader. Officially established in 2012, HubDub's vision for success revolves around their full-service e-commerce brand management and 3PL partnerships that they develop with their clients. Eddie carries over 15 years of combined e-commerce and logistics experience, having worked for several Fortune 500 corporations. Eddie is a widely recognized expert in the industry, presenting at dozens of conferences worldwide. Without further ado, I'm going to turn our program over to our fantastic presenters. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you all for joining us today. I appreciate the time that you've given us, and I apologize for the late start here, but we will work to make this a most beneficial presentation without too many further glitches on our end to keep you on schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and give just a quick overview on what we're going to cover in this course, just so that you guys all understand kind of where we're coming from. I know Jillian had provided you with both myself and Jing's introduction on the previous call, but this course is essentially meant to be a crash course in the fundamentals of e-commerce. So it's not going to be an advanced course. There's far too much that we could possibly cover in an e-commerce session in the short amount of time that we have today. So the one thing that I would ask of you is to understand that there is a lot more to e-commerce than what we will be able to present to you. But this is just to outline some of the most important steps along the way, just so you can get an overall understanding of what happens within this kind of industry. So we will take basically 3 different approaches. It's a surface level view of the US e-commerce world, specific to Amazon, which is the largest channel in the United States for selling product. The US market is where thousands of international sellers have actually started and grown their business. So when people think of the US market on Amazon, they think of, well, you have to be in the United States, you have to be located in that location, but that's not true. There are plenty of sellers who are located internationally in almost every country of the world who sell on the US channel. So the purpose of this, again, is to inspire all the participants' minds, kind of steer you into thinking outside of the box and consider both real and actionable data when you're thinking about this business or potentially starting your own product idea. So we have 3 topics that we're going to discuss today. Jing is going to take the first one, which is titled, "It's Not About the Product, It's About Demand." She'll be showing you a little bit about one of the success stories of one of the most popular brands on Amazon. I will then take the second topic and I'll walk you through the details of the logistical aspect of e-commerce, understanding the costs, understanding the movement of product, things of that nature. The third and final topic that we'll talk about today is something that Jing will take back, and she'll talk to you about advertising and keywording, why it'll make or break your business on the e-commerce platform. Following those 3 topics, we will have some additional time at the end for some open questions and answers. So we request that you hold your questions and related queries until that time, and we will open up to you to ask those questions towards the end. One other housekeeping note, we do have a lot of people on this call and more to join. If you could please ensure that you are muted and remain muted throughout the presentation, that'll make sure that everyone can hear the topics that are being presented and it'll be seamless for everybody. So I will turn it over to Jing for topic 1, where she'll talk about the product selection and demand.
All right. Hi, everyone. It is currently 8:30 a.m. in the morning. I would just say good morning to you. Most of you are probably well into your day, possibly afternoon. But regardless of the time period, let's all jump into the world of e-commerce. So to start off, I tend to tell my story about Anchor. This is my main inspiration of getting my toes dipped into e-commerce, where it all started. So Anchor is a brand in America that, well, I think it's a global brand by now, that started their business with mainly portable phone chargers. So I am going to share my screen and really show you guys what we are looking at. All right, so this is the brand by Anchor. I pulled up the product just to demonstrate the brand and also the success story. It is currently ranked number 15 in cell phones and accessories. What that means is that under one category on Amazon right now, this is top selling number 15. And Eddie can correct me. To me, this means that the product is flying off the shelf. So the story about Anchor is quite an interesting one, where most brands, traditional and conventional brands, start their brand story by, I had this amazing idea and I put the idea into a plan and then created the product into manufacturing process. The founders of Anchor actually started the other way around. They started their reverse engineering by going onto Google and discovering what are people looking for in terms of a cell phone accessory product or electronics accessory product. They found numerous keywords that focused on portable power banks, portable chargers, and then they really drilled into what people are looking for that product. At the time, I want to say maybe nearly a decade ago, there were so many competitors, but none of them really stood out because for one reason or another, the product was bulky, it heated up really quickly. This is where Anchor really shined by researching keywords that are slim, that are high speed power, that are lightweight, and that also drilled into how much battery juice. Sorry, I don't know the technical term for the MAH, but what that means is that you can charge your phone over and over again. What they did was that they looked for what customers wanted to see in the product, and they provided that. They tried to talk to suppliers, they engineered what could work out, and their product was a success on Amazon. So through the years, they've grown to more and more product categories. So nowadays, if you look at Anchor, Anchor has become a staple on Amazon. If you just type into ANKER, the brand name on Amazon, you will see that they're excelling in power bank. And yes, I did purchase. I'm a loyal fan of Anchor products. Power banks, USB chargers, iPhone charger. Nowadays, they are really drilling into the compatibility of Apple and Samsung. There are tons of articles that's very interesting on the internet right now that really compares Anchor's success in the cell phone accessories compared to even Apple and Samsung success in their own accessories. But I'm not going to go into that. It would be a really after class read for anyone who's interested. And now that we know the success story of Anchor, I would like to take you on a journey of how I would look for a product idea to start buying on Amazon, or I'm sorry, to start selling on Amazon. So the first place I would go, and it's completely free, is go to Google Trends. It's trends.google.com. And this allows you to get a full scope of what products, what ideas, just anything people are searching on Google. Approximately 50% of searches on products start on Amazon these days, but Google does hold the other 50%. So this is a really good high-level overview of where direction to go. And then I would take my research to Amazon. So without asking for any ideas from you guys, I got really interested by an organizer I saw on TikTok. And I will not be ashamed to admit that I am addicted to TikTok right now. I saw this really cool organizer. So what I would do with my journey is I would search organizer. No, I could not spell these days on Google Trends. And it will give you a interest over time. You can see a tiny peak over at the end of the year, which makes a lot of sense because end of the year, beginning of new year, everyone's really trying to clean up their house and get ready for a new year, new journey. But what I'm looking for is number one, is there seasonality? But this organizer really is very broad. It can be anything. What I like to do is I would then scroll down to where it says related queries, and it tells me what's really breaking out, what's all of a sudden piquing interest. And Ziploc bag organizer is exactly what I saw on TikTok. So I would click on that keyword, and then it takes me to a more niche in. Okay, I'm seeing a trend of sloping upwards and then really hit the ground running at beginning of this year. So what that tells me is that there's a high demand all of a sudden. And you can switch your view to however long period of time. You can look at 5 years, and then you really see the growth of this product, the heat or the popularity grew over the past year or so. So now that I have a less general, more specific product idea, I would then copy it and then let me move the control panel, take it to Amazon. Take it to Amazon, I copy and pasted the keyword and researching what's really selling on Amazon right now. There are various paid plugins that you can get to really understand how a product is doing. And because being an Amazon very niche seller, I do have many Google Chrome extensions. This is just one of them. So I am going to run Helium 10. What this does is that it extracts all the data, all the things that customers wouldn't normally see, and it allows me to sort by price, by sales, by how it's been doing over the year, over 30 days. What's the truly revenue? What's the ranking on Amazon versus other products or even other products in the category? And how much is Amazon charging me? So without really going into details, I want to show you broadly how well a product can sell. So this one, purple food storage bag container, this is selling 3296 units. But what I saw on TikTok was more something that's one piece. So I'm going to right click and open this in a new tab and then come back to the Amazon page, and really find out what customers want with this product. So a free tool is called Amazon.com. You basically put in the product and you let Amazon guide you. This is basically what I think when I'm doing research, I let the customers talk. So all these suggested keywords are because people are repeatedly typing these in over and over and over again. Amazon is then suggesting, oh, well, you didn't type it out, but is this what you're looking for? So the top one is for drawer, the second one's for pantry, the third one's for fridge. You always, or I always want to stand out. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. So most of the products I just saw were meant for laying flat, for drawer. I want to see if there's something that's out there that's really for the wall. So clicking on that product, it will show me a page of various. So these types where it says sponsored, which just means that people are paying, and we'll tie into our later discussion, paying to be in this position by advertisements. Most of these, I'm seeing them laying flat with the occasional one that's standing up. So tying that into the top product we were looking at, why is this one so successful? So taking a look at it, the images, I like to see if there's anything, if anyone mentions anything about the wall. So I would then see, it says 1 piece with 4 slots. The bag organizer allows you to hang it on the wall. So how does it allow you to hang it on the wall? Is there tools that's included? I don't see that in the product description or the images. So what I would then do is I want to know what customers are saying about this product. Well, just because the brand says that you can hang it on the wall, does it really mean it has all the parts that can do that? So if I look into the reviews and Amazon allows you to search, I want to know, are screws included? So by typing in screws, nothing pops up. And let's see, wall. Okay, some people are commenting on this, like it's easier to hang on the wall, but they do not send the items to hang it on the wall. You have to get this yourself. So I would essentially do this over and over again for all of the top seller products. And I've already done this a little bit last night with saving me some time. What I found was a hole in the market where most people are claiming that they can hang this product on the wall, and they have features where they leave holes here, but they do not include the parts. As you see, this is a product that's completely made out of wood or bamboo. People are selling this for $50, $60 and having success with it. By simply including the parts, I can really stand out from the market and I can expand my brand. So what I essentially would do is I would find a supplier and I would talk to them. Hey, can you work with me to figure out parts to hang this product on the wall? And also I would then take a deeper dive into the successful brands to see what else they sell in the market, keeping in mind that I want to eventually build a brand. This is a very just broad overview, and we would open up for discussions. So I am now going to pass the mic to Eddie to talk about, once you talk to suppliers and you have an idea of what you're buying, you've already negotiated a price, how you get them here.
Thank you. So I just was answering a few questions during the first point that Jing was presenting on, and I just wanted to clarify for all the questions that I'm getting on this. The links to what we're sharing, the Google Trends and to Amazon, etc. We will share those after the presentation. We'll make sure that the organizers have those and they can share that with everybody in the class so that you can use that yourself later. And a couple people have asked if this session is being recorded, and yes, it is being recorded, so that can be passed along to you later as well. So don't worry about either of those points. If you can't access them right now, you'll be able to get that later on. Okay, so second point that we're going to cover today, which I'll take the lead over, is understanding the costs and logistical aspects of e-commerce. So I'm going to share my screen really quick, just so I can give you some visuals to see. So when we talk about the logistical aspect of e-commerce, I define logistics as anything related to product movement from the start, from the manufacturing process, all the way until when it gets to the buyer's hands, whoever purchases the product on e-commerce. So obviously it can cover a wide variety of things, everything from the transport of the goods from the factory to the United States, whether that be on an ocean vessel, ship, whether that be transported via air freight on an airplane or on a truck when it gets here, when it needs to get from the port to the warehouse location. It can really mean anything. It can also mean once the buyer purchases the product, how is the product going to get from the warehouse to their location? So there's a lot of different components when you're thinking about logistics as they relate to e-commerce in general. Now, when we think about logistical cost, too often when people are looking for products to sell on e-commerce, they are considering the cost of the product, and then they're considering how much they can sell it for. And they're not understanding that there's a lot of other fees involved with selling a product on the e-commerce marketplace. One of the biggest outside of just the cost of the product is logistical expenses, the cost of shipping to get the product over to whatever country it's being sold in. So things to consider: shipping expenses, how much it costs to either put it on an airplane or on an ocean carrier. There are also things like duties and taxes, tariffs, things like that to be concerned with as well, because certain countries, the United States as one of them as an example, charges duties and taxes to bring in certain products into the United States, depending on where they're made. So for example, in the United States, you could make a product overseas, and if it's a product that has a duty or tariff, you might have to pay potentially 30% of the cost of the product to bring that into the United States. The US Customs Department will charge you that fee to import it into the country, whereas there are other items that may not have that fee at all, or that fee might be substantially lower. So when you're considering a product to sell on e-commerce, you've got to investigate, what kind of product it is, and if the destination country will apply any kind of taxes to you when you bring that into the country. Obviously, if you're trying to figure out how much money you'll make on a product selling it, you'll want to know that if you're going to have to spend another 30% or more to bring that product into the country, otherwise you won't have a clear idea of how much that impacts your profitability. Other things to consider in terms of logistical expenses include warehousing. So when you bring in the product in from overseas, the cost of moving that product and selling that product doesn't end once it hits the country, right? It has to go into a warehouse. It has to be stored. Somebody has to prepare your products for sale. Somebody has to ship it to the buyer. There's expenses that go along with that on the warehouse side as well. So we're going to move on to talking about FBA versus FBM and how it relates to Amazon. So let's assume that you have your product that is made, manufactured, you bring it into the United States, it's ready for sale on the e-commerce marketplace, and you want to sell as much as possible. How are you going to do it? FBA and FBM stand for the following two things. FBA means fulfillment by Amazon, and FBM means fulfillment by merchants. These are the two ways that you can sell your products on the e-commerce marketplace. And these are the two ways that buyers will receive your product once they place the order on the Amazon platform. Every product is either sold as FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, or fulfillment by merchant. Really, the only difference to understand is that FBA means that once a buyer makes a purchase on the website, Amazon will be responsible for sending the product to the customer. Whereas FBM, fulfillment by merchant, means that you yourself or via another warehouse or a partner that you contract with will be responsible for shipping those goods. So it's really just a question of who's actually, sending the actual product to the customer. When we talk about fulfillment by merchant, which is what I'll cover first, that FBM model, it's something similar to what you see on your screen here, where somebody in a warehouse is taking individual products, and I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to stop my screen for a second, but I'm going to put this on video. So let's take a product like this. Let's say I was selling this, right? So this is one box of products, and there's 6 products in one box, right? There's just 6 of these in one of these boxes, and they're just little energy drinks, right? Nothing special, but there's 6 of them in a case, right? So when you're doing fulfillment by merchant, if a customer orders one of these products, you're responsible, or your warehouse is going to be responsible for picking one of these, putting it inside of an envelope or a box, printing a label, packaging it, and then sending it to the customer for them to receive. It's a very manual process, but you're responsible for getting it to the buyer. So whether they buy 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. You have to do what we call pick pack and send them the individual units. Okay. So that's what we refer to as individual pick pack or fulfillment by merchant, kind of picking whatever the customer orders from your own facility. The benefits of fulfillment by merchant is you have greater control of your inventory, because obviously your inventory stays with you the entire time until it's sold. You don't have to send it anywhere else before the buyer purchases it. It's great for that inventory control. It's also good for larger items that would be cost prohibitive to send to another location for fulfillment just because of their size or weight potentially. So when you think of things that are on the e-commerce platform, those kinds of items are probably what you'll see most commonly with the fulfillment by merchant model. The other way we can send products to Amazon is what we call FBA, what I explained earlier, fulfillment by Amazon. So the difference with that is when I'm doing a fulfillment by Amazon, instead of sending products to an individual customer, I will tell Amazon, hey, I have these products that were made from the manufacturer and they come packed per case like this. So as I showed you one of these boxes, and there were 6 of them in a box. In this particular box, there happens to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cases of 6 bottles each. So 60 units in this box. So what I would do for Amazon under a fulfillment by Amazon model is when I get the products from my manufacturer, I would send them a full case like this, or potentially more than a case, depends on how many you want to send to Amazon. I would send it to their warehouses, and then they would take care of doing the individual packing and shipping to a buyer once the product is sold. So essentially they hold a bulk of inventory and they do the individual shipping, which is generally easier for you and for a warehouse because you don't have to worry about the individual fulfillment of your orders. The other benefits of Amazon FBA, or the fulfillment by Amazon model, is that your conversions, or how often a buyer will actually click through a product to actually purchase it, not just look at it, tend to be higher, because Amazon, when you do FBA, makes your product Prime eligible. And if you don't know what Prime means, in the United States, the majority of consumers in the United States are Prime Amazon members. That means pretty much anything on Amazon that is Prime eligible or being sold as FBA can be at their doorstep within a matter of 24 to 48 hours. So it's really, really seamless and easy for buyers to think about a product they want to purchase and then receive it at their doorstep in a very, very short amount of time. Also, when you do sales under an FBA model, the Amazon customer service team will handle all customer service inquiries and they'll handle everything related to potentially product issues or returns. And all of that is offloaded from your team, so you can concentrate on things like product development or working on your next big idea or anything that related to outside of customer service. So in general, everyone who sells on Amazon in the United States tends to sell through that Amazon FBA program because of all the benefits that it provides. It definitely gives you a boost and is a more preferred way of selling over the fulfillment by merchant or FBM model. Now, I also want to talk about the reasons why that FBA is so popular and is so important in the market in the United States. So I'm going to share my screen again. What I have pulled up here is a map of the US, and every state. The United States has 50 different states, but every state that has an Amazon facility inside of it is highlighted in green. So you'll see that in the United States, the majority of locations have an Amazon fulfillment center located nearby to them. And this is important when we think about FBA or Prime, because what Amazon will do, I happen to be located, Jing and I are located right in the center of the country. So kind of right over here where I'm highlighting with my mouse, that's sort of where we're located. If I send my products, and again, I'll use this as an example, if I send these to Amazon to fulfill for me, I might send it to a facility located close to me in this general middle part of the country. But what Amazon is going to do is they're going to take that product, in this case, 60 of these, and they're going to break it up and send that to a ton of their other fulfillment centers or warehouses across the country. So they might send some down south to Florida. They might send some all the way out west to California. It could go anywhere. It's very random. And that movement never stops. It always constantly moves around and shifts. The reason they do this is because their idea is they want to put as many different products, I should say, in as many different warehouses as possible. The reason they do that is because they never obviously know what a buyer is going to want to purchase and when they'll want to purchase. But if they can spread out those products as much as possible, then no matter where the buyer is located, in general, they can get that product to them in a quick period of time, 1 to 2 days, and meet their prime delivery commitment of getting products to the buyers quickly. So that's one of the disadvantages if you use the FBM model, the fulfillment by merchant model, ship your products yourself, because you probably only located in one area or have a warehouse in one location, and you are required to then send products all over the country. Amazon, because of their network, because of how robust it is and how many warehouses they have located across the entire country, really make your fulfillment process a lot easier because they can spread your product across to so many different locations. So again, that FBA model, that fulfillment by Amazon model, is what most people will use to sell their products and to ensure that they can reach as many buyers as possible. Okay, so I'm also going to show you a little bit about the fees that are involved with selling a product on Amazon. So I'm pulling up a website, and what it's called is the Fulfillment by Amazon Fee Calculator, Revenue Calculator. And again, this link will be shared with everyone so you can do this on your own and continue the exercise after the class. But this is a website that basically will allow me to take any product on the Amazon marketplace or any product that I'm looking to bring to market and figure out what the costs of the logistical costs would be of selling a product under that FBA model that I was describing to you, when Amazon takes possession of the products into their warehouses and sends products to the buyers after they purchase. So I'm going to use this product as an example, and this product happens to be a insulated lunchbox, right? Pretty basic, comes in a lot of colors, but let's just say that you wanted to sell this product. This product sells on the marketplace for $19.99. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and say, I'm going to focus on this right side of this calculator for right now, because the left side is more for fulfillment by merchant, which is not what we're going to focus on right now. So if you pay attention to this right side, I'm going to fill out these white blanks, but let's say I sell it for $19.99. That's my sell price, right? All I have to do is put in that price and click calculate. Amazon is then going to break down what the costs are for them to fulfill the product and for them to warehouse my goods. And they're also going to tell me what they will pay me once the product is sold. So when you use the fulfillment by Amazon model or FBA, Amazon doesn't pay you for your product right away. Your product is essentially put on consignment. And once a buyer purchases the product, Amazon will take out their fees and then will pay you the balance afterwards, so that that's what you'll get in your bank account. But it's important to understand what that breakdown is, and it's important for you to be able to figure out how much that will take out of your how much it'll cost you in terms of costs. So if this item is $19.99 as a sell price, Amazon is telling you that based on this type of item in the category that it is, every category has different percentages, but in the category that this is, and based on the sell price of $19.99, Amazon is going to charge you a $3 cost as their commission, or as that's basically their earnings for allowing you to use their platform and selling on the market. So from $19.99, you're gonna be deducted $3 for Amazon. That's their fee. On top of that, they're also going to charge you $5.14 for fulfillment. This is your FBA fee. Fulfillment, again, covers their warehousing operations. It covers their employees picking and packing the individual products for your customers based on their orders. And it also includes shipping expenses to the buyer. While you might think, wow, $5 plus $3, that's a lot of money to spend when you're only selling a product for $19. I would agree that that's potentially a lot of money, but you have to consider that for $5.14, that's covering all of your logistical expenses all the way to the buyer's location. And it would be very, very difficult in the United States to compete with that kind of pricing using a warehouse other than Amazon, especially considering that they're covering the shipping expenses for you within that cost. So something to consider on that front. Outside of the $3 and the $5.14, you have a little bit of money for the cost of storing your products at the Amazon warehouse. So in this case, 10 cents. What that boils down to is when you sell your product for $19.99, Amazon will then pay you $11.75. So that's important to understand, because if you're looking at this product and you figure out that this product will cost you $11 to manufacture, then obviously it's not a good product to sell, because you're only going to make 75 cents once you take out your cost of the product. Let's, for example, if my cost of product is $11 and I insert that here, my net payout to me is only 75 cents. So it's not a very good investment. But let's say your cost was $2. Then you're getting $9.75 profit in theory. And there's some other expenses that we haven't talked about that we don't have enough time for in this call. But in theory, this gives you a good idea. Hey, if my cost of goods is $2 and my FBA fees is another, $7, $8, I'm going to get paid $9 on a product that cost me $2. In general, that's probably a good idea, a product that's good to sell in the marketplace if in fact there's enough demand for it and it's going to sell at a decent pace. So this gives you a general idea of the fees involved to sell the products. And this kind of calculator, it can be used with any product that's already on Amazon, or if it doesn't already exist, you can figure out a rough idea of what the fees are by putting in the size and weight of the product and also selecting the product category. So I'll make sure that this calculator here is included on the links of websites that we talked to you and showed to you about today. Outside of that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over back to Jing, who will talk to you about the third and final topic today.
All right, thank you, Eddie. That's a really good brief overview of how much you're going to spend to get products over now that you've got it manufactured, designed, and shipped over to the United States. So my next topic will be on how do you sell this product? So imagine yourself in the grocery store. In today's day and age, we still have to run to the grocery store to get milk, get bread. So in the United States, when you go into a grocery store, especially one that you don't know very well on, say you step into Albertsons in California, if you come from a different state, you would generally have no idea where to put their bread. What you do is you look up the signs on the ceiling, and most of the time it's broken out by category. It will be in bread, it will be in pasta, it will be Italian or ethnic food or meat, and etc. So most of the time what you do is you walk on the aisle, kind of pray to God, okay, I'm really hoping gluten-free bread is with the regular bread, but not special diet aisle. You don't really know for sure until you're standing in front of the rack and deciding to look through all the products, all the brands. But with e-commerce these days, you start at the product level. You start by telling Amazon exactly what you're shopping for. You do not go into Amazon to look at category. And this is where I'm going to share my screen and talk to you about how to make sure that your products show up when people are looking for this. So what I was referring to is when you go on Amazon, you basically type in the product. Nobody goes to the first page, sorts through all of the categories that they have and try to figure out. So if you were to do that, which you're more than welcome to, you would then, I will show you where the product category is. You would then go into, give it a second, let it load. You then go into kitchen and dining, which is the category. How it's presented on Amazon is in the little box right here, where it says, oh, well, this product is in the kitchen dining category. It's also in the food container set. Trying to locate that product when it's ranked on 9,816 position probably means that you had to flip through a few hundred pages to find what you're looking for. So most people choose to type in exactly what they're buying, but what you're buying can be very general, can be very specific. Most people want to put Ziploc bag organizer, the broad name of the product, on Amazon, hoping that it would show up. But this keyword is leading to a lot of competitors. It can mean that it's a product for the one that's with a lid that can open up. It can be little boxes that can be broken up, rearranged to whatever to fit your drawer. It can be wooden, it can be boxes, it can be plastic, it can be wired. I think I saw wired at some point. It can be a tray. But to go high on this product before people lose interest, scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of products, you want to be very specific of what you're selling. And you want to also make sure that you're listing everything. This is where keyword comes in. Keyword tells the search engine exactly what you're selling. So for me, if I were to create the same exact product, I would then put Ziploc bag organizer for drawers. It's also for pantry, it's for a wall. What color is it? Is it for the kitchen plastic bag storage? Is it for a cabinet? Is it clear? Do I have a wall mount on it? So that's why when you see products that are successful on Amazon, you see they're stuffed with keywords. You're telling the customers, it's a Ziploc bag storage organizer. It's made out of bamboo. It's a bamboo food storage organizer. It's suitable for kitchen drawers, also compatible with various sizes, such as, and that's a typo, a lot of the times it can be accident, but sometimes sellers like me, we do this on purpose, just for the small population of people who actually do create typos on Amazon. So gallon, quart, sandwich, snack is basically listing all of the bags that's in here for anyone who could be looking for, let's say, a snack food storage bag organizer. Without really going into the match type, I just want you to know that when you're listing a product on Amazon, you want to make sure to do a really thorough research, as well as think deep within yourself how you would search this product. And of course, this is all organic. Amazon may favor your product in the very beginning because you're new, but that period doesn't last long. No more than 2 weeks, I want to say. Once Amazon realizes people are scrolling past your product, you will lose your position, which what we call a search rank. You will lose your position here. And how do you get back to the spot is by selling. But when you're a new product, you don't have a lot of reviews, you're not the best price, you don't have the best brand, you're not going to have that many sales. This is where advertisements come in. Advertisements come in many shapes and form. The most commonly used by Amazon sellers is the sponsored product, where you're basically sponsoring your product to be in much more front forward position on Amazon.com. You're sponsoring for this real estate, this piece of spot to spotlight your product, to show up for a specific keyword and see if Amazon is going to showcase it. It's like a giant auction where we all bid on the same exact spots. You know, you have Echo Greta, you have Lalu, you have Lindholm, you have whatever brand this is, all competing for the same product. Most of the time, it is a higher bid that wins, but so many more factors go into it. If you're a product that has 10 4-star reviews competing against the product that has 140 5-star reviews or 4.5-star reviews, you're going to lose out a little. The better that you convert, by convert, I mean by the people see your ad, click into it, and actually makes a purchase, the more that happens, the more likely you will win this spot, and you also win at a lower price. But for this example, it could be that this product is fairly new. Yes, it's got 4 stars and 10 reviews, but Amazon decides, well, you are a cheaper alternative. Their algorithm, their learning machine picks up that these two products are very similar. Even though there's 4 stars on 10 reviews, we're going to give you another chance and ask you to pay a little bit more to win this spot, to see if you're going to outperform your competitor in a period of time. So that's sponsored products and other advertising tools, such as a sponsored brand, which is really clever, but this Space A brand is that they know customers don't all want to see the same exact type of boxes or same exact type of one giant box with 4 slots. They present it to you. We got it all. We got the 4 slots for the most common household, where it's the quart, the frozen, the storage, sandwich, the snack. And we also got it for the people that need a little bit more. 5-pack, 5 compartments for storage bag organizer. Or if you're one person that prefers to have a solid and you have that full space, I'm going to tell you that I also got a giant box that's working for all storage types. So this spot is called the sponsored brand banner ad. And this is a lot more expensive when it comes to advertising on Amazon. And if you scroll down, you will also see what we call a sponsored video, where some sellers who would like to invest in the money to create videos on their products, and it no longer could be just a slideshow, it's not going to win you the spot, is they create a video. And you can click on the speaker, it can have nice music in it, providing a rotational 3D of the product in action. We used to say a picture speaks 1,000 words. Nowadays, a video speaks maybe 10,000 words. This allows me to see how nicely the bag stacked in the box, how it's open and closed, and some sellers would also exhibit the back of it, which this one does not. So there are, like I said earlier, some holes in the market that we can plug in. But this is the type of product that ad that you would run for a sponsored brand video. And there's also other ads, such as throughout the page and at the very bottom of it, brands related to your search. This is what we call a display ad. You can advertise your brand in general, which this brand is doing really well. They are occupying a lot of what we call the search result real estate, but just keep in mind, advertising fee can rack up really quickly, because Amazon does have an algorithm that if the product performs well, we want to keep generating more sales. Their learning machine is not taking into consideration of your profit level. So keeping a close eye on ads is something that we do in-house very, very religiously. So that's what you do for getting your product to sell. Make sure that you have the best design out there, really tuned into what customers want, get it shipped here, calculate all your costs, and back the review of how product goes live on Amazon. I think now we can open up our discussion. Let me close my share first. Any questions for our presentation, what we talked about? Or type in your questions as well. That's fine.
I mean, if you have a question, you should be able to unmute yourself and ask that. If not, let us know in the chat, or you can also type the question in the chat box or raise a hand. Yeah, that's a good point too.
I see we have one question from Mr. Emmanuel. Is that correct?
Yes, how to track the seller in order to make refund, in order to deal about refunding or to change the product once the product is not as the same as you were expected.
How do you track the product if it's not the same one you expected?
Yes, if the product is not the same as you were expected.
You mean the product that you manufactured? Like if it comes to you and it's not what you thought it would be?
Yes, that's the question.
Yeah, so I mean, Jing can talk to this a little bit more, but this comes down to quality control at the manufacturing side when you go to make the product. But Jing can talk about this more.
Sure. So a lot of my products are manufactured in China. Actually, I do have someone on the ground in China right now to monitor the manufacture. There's so many ways that something can go wrong in production. From the very beginning, you want to be very strict and very clear in your contract. This is, for example, this is my cell phone case. This is my cell phone case. This is exactly the size, the color, where the lines are lining up, exactly what patterns on there. You want to be as specific as you possibly can, down to how many grams the phone case should weigh and what exactly you're going to use, what type of plastic is it PVC. That way that the manufacturer or the supplier, the factory is less likely to trick you to replace it with a lower cost material. And a lot of the time we do send people pre-production before we even place an order. We do factory visits more than once before we even commit to I mean, that's to say our orders are generally really large. Sometimes it can go from $250,000, and we have mid-production inspection as well. As you're manufacturing, our people would walk through the manufacturing line and tell people, wait a minute, the holes are not lining up on this. You could not send this product in, we will not accept it. And towards the very end stage, we'll also have an inspection before they ship out. That inspection will be randomized. So someone will go into the factory and open up a single box randomly to figure out, okay, it's everything exactly the same. Even with that said, it's never 100% guarantee, and you will always have possibly a 2% defect rate. That's once your products get to the US, you want to have superb customer service. What that means is someone tells you, hey, it doesn't fit my phone. You trust them. You give them the benefit of the doubt, and you trust them what they say is real, and then you refund them. So that's a combination of all things added together. Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. So also, I just want to add to Jing's answer to that question. In terms of manufacturing, when the majority of people who are in the United States and they're looking for products, the majority of the time they're going to source from China and then bring it from China to the United States. That's just kind of like where the United States imports the most product from. But it does not mean at all that you have to source from China. You could source from your home country. You could source from Europe. You could source from anywhere. It doesn't matter where the product is coming from. It just happens to be where the most come from. But you're limitless in terms of where the product can originate from. So, and to my point on logistics, I had talked about how there's commonly, or not commonly, but there's certain products that have taxes and tariffs that applicable when they come into the United States. The majority of times those are for products that are made in China. So if you can find your product in other countries, you might be able to avoid those kind of fees when you're bringing them into the country. The downside of other countries is because China is so advanced in their production of anything pretty much, a lot of countries have a hard time competing with China because they're just not in that manufacturing stage. But again, there are products made all over the world and you can definitely source from anywhere.
We do have a hand raised by Alexander. We'll let him go first, and then we have another question in the chat that we can get back to.
Yep.
Go ahead, Alexander. Maybe he pressed it by accident.
So let's move on to one question in the chat. I'll give it to you, Jing. But one of the questions is, what if you're not? I think this is what Faustin, I think this is what you're asking, but if it's not correct, clarify for me. But how do you vet your supplier? How do you make sure your supplier is legitimate, that they're a good company to do business with? What if you don't receive the product you ordered?
So when you say online platforms, I believe you're referring to Alibaba or AliExpress.com. For suppliers that are on such websites, and we can definitely post up the links later, you want to make sure that number one, they have a long period of experience. Number two, they have badges for a trusted supplier, and always test buy. Never place a bulk order before you see a sample. It doesn't matter if the sample costs you $1,000 if it's only a piece of phone case. What you're paying for is a mold cost, but also most of the time, if that mold is not specific to you, you do not have to pay the full cost. and your sample cost will be refunded to you. So I'll give you a most recent example of one of the samples I placed. I sent a $10,000 payment for about 60 samples across 60 various products, all 80% of which is refunded or credited to my order amount. So yes, there is a large sample fee upfront, but always ask the question, number one, I want to see the sample exactly my design. And number two, the sample cost that you're charging, what portion of it's refundable? Is there any mold cost, or what's the cost on the sample? So never, ever, ever place an order without test buying, never. That way you avoid the problem with the refund.
One of the questions is, what about the Taobao marketplace? I think that's probably something different in terms of Taobao is more consumer focused, where you're talking about more for wholesale and for procurement, right?
Alexander, Taobao is a retail. So Taobao is retail. So Taobao is a retail marketplace. What that means is that you are not likely going to get the best pricing for a bulk order. And also, they may not have the bandwidth to provide you with a bulk order. Most of the stores on Taobao are resellers. You want to go to the factory for a number of reasons. Number one, the cost. The cost will be much lower without a middleman handling your business. Quality, it's better to have a better hold on your quality once you're working with people who are actually manufacturing it, instead of a middleman kind of communicating that back and forth for you. I don't know if that answered your question.
Taobao. Difference between online retail and online marketplace. I think we're talking about the same thing. Online marketplace is essentially a platform for selling products to the retail consumer. So it's just a website to sell. The main difference in the United States is you're either online or you're in traditional store where customers can actually walk into. But online retail, online marketplace, I think is in general the same, unless you're using a marketplace that is selling more of a wholesale. When you're selling like a larger quantity of the same product, that could be the difference. But general, if you're selling to consumer, retail, marketplace, probably the same thing.
I would see, sorry, I read that question a little bit differently. As a brand perspective, I read that as online retail being your own website, your own retail store, your own retail space, versus selling your product on Amazon.com or eBay.com marketplace. So what that means is that your own store, which is if you create a store of Shopify, phonecase.com, you're going to have to generate traffic not just to your product, but also to your website. It becomes tremendously more expensive. Anywhere outside of Amazon, advertising is pay per impression. Amazon is pay per click. What that means, an impression means if you glance over, if your product is being shown up on the webpage, you get charged. Amazon actually charges you by customer clicking into it. They do not charge you by glancing over. So that's the benefit of using a marketplace. I would highly recommend you go for marketplace first before you do retail, Shopify, your own website.
Very good. See, there's always multiple perspectives that I would miss. Okay, so next question. What can the customer do when they read the order, and what's the time they give as to? Okay, so basically, what if the order, if they go to, if I understand this right, if the customer goes to place the order and they expect it to take 2 weeks and it takes 4 weeks. So I'm not sure if you're talking about when you're ordering the product and from the supplier to get it to you, or if you're talking about the buyer purchasing a product, you know, from you once you have the product in hand and is buying like a single product. I'm going to, well, I'll talk about both actually, but when you're talking about a supplier, in general, when you place an order, they should give you an idea of the time commitment or the time frame that's required to produce your product. The amount of time it takes to make your product will depend heavily on what the product is, the complexity of that product, and also the quantity, and also, you know, things like time of year, how many orders are ahead of you, how much quality control is required. There's a lot of aspects that can affect that. So really being clear with your supplier in terms of what your expectations are and what kind of order you're going to place is going to be the key to them giving you an accurate time frame on that. In terms of products to the buyer, once you sell it to them, if you go back to what I was mentioning on that FBA, FBM model, Amazon is very, very particular in terms of getting products to the customer quickly. So even if you do the FBM model, which is when you're sending your own products, Amazon expects that you deliver that to the customer within a few days. And if it's going to be FBA, when they're doing the fulfillment for you, it really depends on the type of product and where the buyer is located. But I've had experience when I might purchase a product late at night, 10 or 11 p.m. at night, and I get it the next day. So Amazon is very, very quick. They even have certain products that qualify for like a 1 to 2 hour delivery in certain big cities. Like I said in my presentation, Amazon has set up a fulfillment network in the United States that is second to none, that really no one can beat. So the speed of getting products is really, really quick. And I'd say that it's very rare for a product to take much longer than is shown on the website for delivery. So I would say that's the answer there. Okay, there's some other questions. There's some other feedback about getting, again, the copies of the recording and also the slides and websites. I actually have an email drafted already with the slides attached and also links to the websites that we talked about. So you'll have access to that. And I'm sure Jillian can send out the recording of this session as well when this concludes. Just want to make sure we're not missing any other questions. There's one question I want to ask: if there's an effect of selling in Africa. There's really no impact if you're selling from Africa to Africa. There's not an Amazon Africa channel, but if you're asking about selling, operating a business from Africa, like where you guys are located, that's not necessarily a barrier to entry. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of customers who are located internationally and they utilize the US platform or a different Amazon platform across the world to sell products. So that's definitely it should not be a barrier to entry. Great. I think I answered all the questions. I'm sure we can go for a lot longer, but I want to keep us to our scheduled time here, which is right about now. So I'll hand it back over to Jillian. Take it from here.
Sorry, I just have one more thing to add. I did see one question asking, is it easy to start selling products on e-commerce? I just want to share that on behalf of me and Eddie, I started right around the same age all of you are. I was in college and I got bored one day. I talked to my cousin, had her ship me a box of USB drives from China. Eddie's a different story. Eddie started when he was I don't even know. He was selling lemonade when he was 4 on the street just for fun. So never too early to start, and it's never too hard to start. It's as easy as filling out an application online on Amazon. I just urge you to really, really be careful of what you put down in terms of how you operate and everything, because Amazon is a one-shop only platform. They will match your seller account to your profile, to your identity, to your driver license, or I'm not sure, ID, business name. Once you screw it up by bad customer service, there's no coming back from that. It's a one shot only. It's as bad as that. So just word of advice. That's it.
Thank you so much, Jing. Thank you so much, Eddie. This has been so interesting and so useful. I mean, really, you covered so much material in this session. We're so grateful. The questions, I think, also demonstrate how interesting and thorough the presentation was. I want to thank everyone again for your patience, for the technical issues that we experienced at the beginning of the program. This is our first time running this new version of the program. So I am very grateful for all of you joining us and for you sticking with us. Obviously paid off in such an incredible content for this today's presentation. And again, thank you to Jing and Eddie. This was really wonderful. And I hope we see more from you in the future. So with that, I will let you all go for the day, and everybody in our earlier time zone, have a lovely day, and the rest of you have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.
Thank you all.